The man you see on the cover of our new book, Francis Bacon Retrieved, is Ted Onsloe. The painting is Study for Portrait, 1969. In the catalogue raisonné, I identified the man as Ted Westfallen. This was correct so far as we knew, and was correct at the time the painting was made. But we didn't know that he later changed his name to Onsloe. Therefore, our efforts to find him all failed. Then, at the end of last year, we found him. Ted is one of only 6 people still living whose portrait Bacon painted. Thus, he was a really precious find for us. Ted played an important and intriguing part in Bacon's life, as you will see. When we first spoke on the phone, I think you told me about how you first met him when you were at Mazurka. And could you just tell it, because they, our viewers won't have heard all this. So that very first visit when you were working there.
Yeah, my uncle Patsy Fleming, like he was a villain in the West End. He got Ronnie, my brother, in Charlie Chester's casino, and he got me in the Mazurka when I come out the booth. And I was more or less on the door there looking after him. And then one day, as I say, bell used to go, so I opened the door, like a 2-way mirror, looked through, I opened it. And one day, Francis, and I found out his other name was Dennis Worth Miller, friend of his, who was at the door and said to come in. I said, yeah, come in, sir, in you go. They went in, shut the door. I just carried on. Then they were sitting there, I think they might have had a gamble on the roulette lights, whatever. Peppy, the owner, came in to say hello. And I suppose about an hour they was there, that's it, I didn't know anything. Anyway, they're coming out. As they're coming out, they said, thank you. I said, thank you, sir, good night. They went down the stairs, so I shut the door, looked at the 2-way mirror, yeah. Now on the other side, you've got a peephole, so that when the old Bill used to come and raid you, and he think he would have to search you, they'd put their arm over the 2-way mirror, so you couldn't see who it was. So what we'd done was textured an hole like that, so you could look down. But then when they tumbled it, the old, they used to put their hand over that, and I used to light a cigarette and go, I said, oh, sorry, officer, I didn't know it was you. And burn their head. They went, you bastard, we'll have you. So anyway, so Francis and that's gone. So about 10 minutes later, I just walked down just to look down to see it was all clear down the stairs. And I could see that one of the doors, big doors, was shut, and there was Francis and Dennis there, with 3 geezers about in their 20s, I suppose. And they got the elbow right up at Francis. I thought, wow, they're mugging. They're going to mug some. So I just shot back to my cubby. I took out my little truncheon, what I had, put it down like that, opened the door, put it on the latch, run down the stairs like that. And I went pop, hit one on the back, and he went, bang, hit another one, and that one, and they started running away then, crying or whatever. And the cabbie come past, said, all right, Ted. I said, all right, mate, yeah, that was it, they're gone. So I said, all right, sir, it's bacon. I'll get you a cab and that. I said, no, we're okay, thank you very much. And they both left. I went back and forgot all about it, and then about an hour later, the buzzer went and there was Francis on his own. So I said, oh, hello, so you all right, where's your mate? I said, he's gone home. Yeah. Well, let him in. He said, oh, no, I'll sit here. Do you want to gamble? You want to drink? A coffee? I said, oh, I'll have a coffee. And I got him a coffee, June, give him a coffee. That was it. I just messed about, keeping, making sure no one was messing about in the club. And when I looked, he was looking at me all the time out the corner of my eye, and I thought to myself, yeah, it's a bit strange, him keep looking. So I didn't take no notice, the thing. And then and then there was another fella, an older man who'd just come back from America. He used to go out, a proper gambler. And he said to me, Ted, he said, that geezer you're talking, you know who that is, do you? I said, no. He said, it's Francis Bacon, the painter. So I thought he meant a painter and decorator, like painting an house. So I said, painter, I've got lots of powers of paint. He said, no, he's a proper painter. And I said, oh, well, and that was it. And then Francis, when he's got to go, he's come over to me and he said, oh, excuse me, he said, it's Ted, isn't it? I said, oh, yes, I just want to thank you for what you've done down there. He said, Dennis thought a lot of that, Dennis Wormiller. I said, no, it's nothing, sir, that's all right. He said, well, I'd like to repay you. I said, don't want nothing. He said, I'd like to take you out for lunch. So I said, well, do you like fish? So I said, I thought he meant like Rock Hill or something, a bit of skate. So I said, well. So he said, well, you're off, you only work overnight, so in the afternoons, like, you're okay. I said, yeah, I'm off. I said, I live in Whitechapel, I've got a flat in Whitechapel. And he said, do you know the French pub? I said, yeah, Gaston's pub, yeah. Which is in, I think that's in Frith Street, I'm sure it is, this end. So he said, well, if you could be there tomorrow about midday, would that suit you? So I said, yeah. So the next day I got up, had a shower in it, got a taxi, got a cab, I said, the French pub, Gaston's. Took me down there like that, got there about 11:45. I got out, opened the doors like that, and the smoke hit you as you opened the door, like, oh. And the noise in there was packed at that time. All drunks in there or whatever, but like, whoas, like, you know. Bollocks, they swore, when they swear, you know, when they take a posh word, it sounded. So anyway, I've gone in there, I thought, oh dear. And when I've looked, right down the bottom there, there's Francis jumping up and down. Ted. I'm like, oh, made me way down there and said hello. And that's when he introduced me to John Deakin. He said, this is a photographer of Vogue, he does all of my photographs for me, innit? So I said hello, and he was drinking pink gin he used to drink, Angostura bitters with gin. God, loads of it. So he said, right, he's going to come to lunch with us and that. I said, yeah. Walked out like that, out thing, round the corner there, straight into Wheelers. Never been into Wheelers, didn't know where. And went in there and, well, as soon as you see it, it was beautiful. And then on the place, there's oysters all over the place, lobster, poached salmon, beautiful fish. And he sat down and he said, what do you want to drink? I said, he said, they do a house wine and it's very good though. It's a Chablis, but it's very, very good. I said, yeah, whatever you like. What do you want to eat? I said, well, he said, the poached salmon, the salmon's very good in here. I said, well, I have a bit of that. What about holiday sauce they got? He said, yeah, they make this out. So that's what I had that. I had a few oysters and then really lovely. I mean, it melted in your mouth. Beautiful food. And I spent a couple of hours in there. And on the way out, that was it. It was a fella jumps up to shake his hand. It was John Gregson, the actor. Saying, oh, he said, oh, hello, John. And he said, and he pointed to me, he said, oh, this is Ted Westfallen, but you must know one another. Who? I said, no, I don't know you, sir. And that was it. So we went out of there, and then he said, Muriel's. And that's the first time we crossed the road into Muriel's, into Dean Street, with Deakin. And then as we were going up the stairs, and Deakin stood back, and then he said, no, I'm not coming in there. And I said, well, what's the matter? Can you come up with us, will you? He went, no, he said, she don't like me. Muriel doesn't like me. So I said, she had no use going to France. She said, come on. So me and him went in, and Deakin never come in. So as soon as she opened the door like that, they said, hello, daughter. That's what she calls Francis, and he's calling her mum. Hello, daughter. And who's the lovely person you brought with you today? Oh, this is the Red Ted, they called me. Lovely Red Ted. And yeah, so I got in there. So she ended up making me a life member with the book. She said, I've got to do this, don't know. Something in the book, because they come up here and they check who's in here, you know. So now you're a life member now for life. So I said, oh, thank you. You give me a card. And but the people I saw in there, Mike McKenzie, the crippled player, black fella, was playing the piano, and I can't tell you how many people that I used to see them. I thought they was on television. I didn't know their names. A lot of them was MPs and that, all drinking in there. But the language in there, the way they was Muriel, oh, she was all the time. So if you didn't get a drink, she look at you like, clock you like that. She go, oh, you bastard, get your handbag out and get up here, or something like that. And she said that to Deakin. You never get your handbag out, piss off, I don't want you up here. And then Francis told me that when she opened the club, I think 1948 or something, he said, yeah, she said to me, Francis, she said, if you bring all your friends here, then I'll never charge you for any drink at all. You have all your drinks for nothing. And that's what he told me how he started off, you know, with her thingy. But he used to phone her, she phoned him, and he phoned her every morning before 8 o'clock. And when he gave me his number and that, he said, right, if you ever want to get in touch with me, Ted, always before 8 o'clock in the morning. Knightsbridge 2925, I think the number was, still remember it. Yeah. And But that's how I met him, and then a few times he used to come up to Mazurka or something and then see me, or I'd pass him in Old Compton Street at Wheelers. I said, well, yeah, I love Wheelers, that food, oh, blimey. And
then it can't be that long after that, because you showed me he wrote a nice letter to you. He's in South Africa visiting his mother and sister,
yeah.
and he wrote a letter to you. I think I was saying, would you go to Paris?
Yeah, what that was, he was going to have the Grand Palais was coming up or something, big thing for him in Paris. And but he was going to Switzerland first, then he was going to South Africa for Rhodesia, then he was coming to Paris. So he said, oh, if you've got time today, you know, if you come to Paris, I'd like you to come there. He said, because Lucian Freud, I've only met him once here, but Lucian's coming with Lady Caroline, I think someone, and there'll be the Daily Telegraph's arts person coming there as well, because this is to sort out the Grand Palais. He said, so what I've got to do first, I'm going to South Africa first, I'm going to do a little picture. So he never called them paintings to him, it was a picture. I'm doing a little picture thing, and I'm selling that in Switzerland for the cash. He said, if you want, you can help me, you can bring that back for me. So I said, well, yeah, I'll do that, don't worry about it. He says, quite a lot of money, I think about £30,000 then. And he'd done this painting there and sold, he got the money. So from there, he's gone to see his sister, and from there, he's to Paris. So when he said that, he met me. I went and got the plane to Paris at the thing. He met me at not the airport, at the thing where the bus takes you. And then he was waiting outside, waving out, and took us to Hotel de Saint-Père, in the Rue de Saint-Père, which means fathers, the land of the fathers. Now, he always used to use that because when he went there, when the other fellow was there, he was using that same one. So it must be in the South Bank, certain area he likes. So anyway, so I've gone out there and met him, and he's took me into the thing. Met Lucian and Lady thing, and different things. Then one night while I was there a few days, and he said it was Lucian who come out of it. He said, "Oh, we're going to dinner tonight, Ted." He said, "We're going to Maxime's." So I said, "Maxime's? I've heard of that." So Jackie Kennedy used to eat, I'm sure of it. So he said, "Oh yeah, it's a nice place." So Francis said, "Oh yeah, do you like Maxime's?" So one night we went there, Lady Karen, Francis, Lucian, myself. Got a cab there, went in like a big hallway like that. There was a woman looking over with a big book. And as we're going in like that, Lucian has turned around to Francis. He said, "Oh, by the way, Francis, I booked in your name." And I thought myself, well, that's just like a bit of a stroke, isn't it? But I booked it in. Francis went, "Yes." So he went in and Mr. Baker. So he took us round. There's like little cubby hole, like things like that, where the tables are, where you sit in, alcoves all over. And so we sat there, and there's a old boy come around with a violin, playing here. Beautiful place. And this is at Maxime's, obviously. And I think I was listening to Lucian a lot, and so I didn't know what to think. So I said, "I like some oysters, yeah." And then I said, like stupid, I said, "I'll have a coquille and jack." Now that's a starter as well. But they looked really funny like that. So Francis says, "No, he likes, he's carrying up for me, so he likes his fish and scallops." So I thought, yeah, I didn't know it was scallops with potato and a shell. So, but after that, now I have it a lot, I love it. But yeah, so from there, that night when we ate in there, it was a good night, and they come out of there, and they stopped a cab outside of Maxime's, and then they spoke in French to the driver, and we all climbed in there, and this driver was saying in French to Francis and that, no, something over. So I said, "What's the matter? Where are we going to go?" He said, "Hold on," in French. So I said, "What's the problem? Where are we going to go?" He said, "No, what it is, Ted, the driver don't think we ought to go there." He said, "Because we've come out of Maxime's, and we're going now to like the Soho of Paris, like a dive." He said, he's telling us not to go in there. So he said, "But I've told him anyway." I said, "Well, it don't matter, does it? Where will we go?" So we went into a thing, and it was like a folie bergère thing, all naked birds with breasts hanging out, dancing around with hats on, candles with champagne. And then what made me laugh, the music's going, and one's coming dancing round, Francis is on the end, I'm there, Lady Caroline's there, and Lucian's there. And she's gone straight up to Francis like that and got this like Tommy Cooper hat on her head. And she took it on like that and plonked it on his head. And he'd done his nut. He went, "Get away from me. Give it to him. Don't put that on my head. Give it to him," pointing to me. And it tickled me. You know, it was funny. And yeah, but so most of the time. And then he said to me, "Oh, me and Lucian have got to go somewhere, or something." Was the thing. So you know where the thing is? It's not far from here. Get a cab and you can go back to the hotel. I went back there. A lot of the time I went because he used to go out and go somewhere. And the other time it was good was when he took me when he had the Grand Palais. He said, "I'm taking you. Lucian's not coming. But I'm taking you there to see." He's the arts minister, Mr. Pompidou. I've never heard of him at all. So he said, he's a member of Parliament. He's in Parliament. He said it's a big place. We went down to this cab there, me and Francis, went up big stairs. And I looked at it, it's like a castle. And I thought, what's this? And they got guards, coppers on the door with machine guns, standing there. And I thought, yeah. He said, "Oh, it's Parliament." He says, "Protection." No, went in there talking about like that. He shook hands with me in French. I didn't even know what he was talking about. Then we walked over and had a lift there. Went into a lift up into this thing. A big lift, I know it was, great big. Took down double doors when he opened up to this room upstairs. Big round table, big thing like that. And there was about 4 or 5 people in there. And they've all introduced one another. And I remember him saying, I met Mr. Pompidou, and the other one, little old boy there, it was Picasso's dealer. Francis said, "Oh, he's Picasso's art dealer." And Enchanté and all the rest of it. So I said, "Yeah." That was it. Got talking, and one of them, I can't remember who it was talking to me in French, and I said, "I'm sorry, I don't speak French." And funny enough, everyone heard it, but everyone spoke English after that. And it was weird. So that was it, and it was gassing away, and it was okay. At the end of it, I always remember when we finished the wine. I've never had wine like it. The best wine I've ever drunk. Oh, melted in your mouth, beautiful. And it was. I thought myself, I'm going to get that now, Saint-Emilion. But you know, you get Saint-Emilion that's worth £1,000, and another worth about £2 bob. So this was the good stuff. I remember the name. It's Saint-Emilion, and it's a part of France, isn't it, where they make this wine. So we had all that, and lovely food, nice people. Everything was nice. And then some brandies come out afterwards, and they was all talking one thing and another, and then it was chinking the glasses, and they was all going, Enchanté. I remember Francis, instead of Santé, Francis used to say, Enchanté. So it was Enchanté, and round to me, and I thought myself, I'm looking like that, and I couldn't help it. So I got the glass, and I went, yeah, cheerio, and jumped the fin, and pumping. I looked like that, he couldn't stop laughing, he's giggling, his shoulders going. So they're all going, "Oh, yeah," so, you know, like that. So when we left, Francis said to me, he said, "You made a big impression on that Pompidou, you know." He said, and that must have cracked him up. He said, "Well, you know, when you said," I said, "No, I was copying you, Francis." He said, "Me?" I said, "That's what you say all the time here. Well, you're pissed, you go, cheerio." He said, "Well, I don't do it like that, do I?" I said, "Yeah." Oh my God, he couldn't laugh. But he said you made a real impression on him, you know, because by saying that, it just struck him. Nobody's ever said things like that in front of him. Picasso's dealer, right old thing, you know. But it was good when I thought about them people, and I thought, well, you know, I've met some famous people there. And he was ended up president of France, didn't he? Monsieur Pompidou. Yeah. And that was all to do with the Grand Palais, because he was the arts minister, and that is why. And the funny thing was, when it come through a couple of months later, when he got the Grand Palais, he did phone me up, and I was more or less getting out, staying away, because I was caught in a bird at the thing at the time. And I wasn't getting in Soho so much, but then he phoned me to say, "Ted," I said, "Hello, Francis." He said, "Right, you might like it or you might not. I thought I'd ask you." He said, "How would you like to come to Paris again with us?" He said, "Only I've got the Grand Palais, I've got that now, and it's in 2 weeks' time on the Sunday." I said, "Oh, congratulations, Francis." So and I thought about it, and I said, "Unfortunately, because I was tied up and she was pregnant with my son, and So I said, unfortunately, I might not be able to make it. He said, that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I thought I'd ask you because you was there at the beginning, so I thought it'd be kind enough, you know. He said, I know you're out doing car dealing with your brother and that now, you don't get. But he said, I always keep in touch. I said, of course I will. And that was it. Then next thing I knew, he dropped dead in the toilet, didn't he?
George Dyer, yeah.
And Francis blamed him all the time. He said, when I said, what happened there? He said, the bastard. He said, he'd done it on purpose. I said, no. He said, I'm telling you, he'd done that on purpose. He waited till I was up in the thing, got the thing, and then he committed suicide. And then he went and done a triptych of him, sitting on the toilet, didn't he? Done 3 things of him, and all that. But I thought, God. But Dyer, I mean, to me, he was like I wouldn't say he was feminine, but he was very timid, you know. He wasn't, and he reckons he knew the craze and all the rest. He used to tell all the others that, not to me. But when I was around Francis one day, Francis went, "Oh, Ted, you might be interested." Like, and he gave me this letter. And I looked at it and I thought, it's a Nick letter. So I opened it up. And it was Parker's prison. Who from? I looked at it, Ronnie Craig. So dear Francis, I hope you don't mind this smuggled, you don't put that in, like grown-ups, smuggled letter out, where you smuggle it out. And I thought, it's a little boy talking here, and the writing was terrible, couldn't spell, but that was Ronnie Craig. He said, I've got John Pearson, the writer. He said, he's doing a biography or a letter of me and Reggie. And when I told him I knew you, he said he would love to meet you. Is it possible to make a meet, please? I hope everything's okay, Francis. God bless, lots of love, Ron Cray. Like in the speech. So I went, so he said, what do you think of that? I said, I'll put it in my pocket. Anyway, a few days later, Francis phoned me, he said, Ted. I said, what? Yeah, that letter for, well, I'll give you a thing. I said, yeah. Have you got it? I said, yeah. Well, what's that? He said, ooh, give it back to me, please. He said, because I've got to get rid of it. I said, what's the matter? He said, well, I don't want it to fall in the wrong hands. That's the words he said. I said, well, that's it. I said, no, I won't destroy it. I'll bring it to you. Took it to him to destroy it. And he just sort of and slung it. And that was from Ronnie Craig. And that was why they was in, before he went in the Nat House, so he was in Parkhurst at the time. And then he was playing up in there, so they nutted him off to Broadmoor afterwards. But he was at the time, so I suppose it would have been about a year after they got banged up, something like that. But yeah, he said, like, please, because you know, it might fall in the wrong hands and that. So I suppose because it was all in the papers about Ronnie Craig. But,
you mentioned George before, and I remember you told me because George planted marijuana in here to get Bacon nicked.
Yeah.
And Bacon got Lord Goodman, who I think you didn't like, to get him off. But at the trial in Great Marlborough Street, Francis wanted you to go with him. Have I got that right?
He said to me about the thing. I knew who he was. I said, because I said, like, yeah, he don't smoke. I mean, he smoked, but he had asthma. And he don't do things. He's a boozer, same as I am. I don't mess about with all that crap. So I'm a drinker. I thought he would like that, and I'll mix with boozers. But anything drugs wouldn't have nothing to do with it. I know a lot of people do down here, but so I said to Francis straight away when he fingered, he said, yeah, someone's, I know it's not you, Ted. I said, me? I said, what do you mean? He said, someone's planted a bit of hish-hash or something. I said, where? He said, well, in me house. He said, the police come charging in, looking around and that. He said, and they brought the dogs in, and the dog was going berserk over this rug, and they said, there's something along the road. Francis went, that come from Rhodesia, and it's a zebra skin, and it was a proper zebra thing. And the dog was going mad over it. They looked at the one, they said, oh, righto. So I said, make sure they don't tear it up, wouldn't you? He said, and that was it. And because Francis would tell him up, and he giggled to himself, right, who had done that? But then I said to him about the thing, I said, well, who you had in there? He said, well, no one really. He said, I said, Dyer. I said, George, isn't it? He said, well, I think so, yeah. I said, so I've just said it, and you know it is him, isn't it? I said, I don't come round here often, it wouldn't be me. And I don't know who else you have round here. I said, but he's around there all the time. That's who it was. So he asked me to go to Marlborough Street, mainly because, I'll tell you what it was for, I think. When we come out of there, I stood it in the thing and he got quid. when I come out of there, with Francis down the steps like that, and there's about 8 photographers there, or press, all running around in circles. And I thought, oh, you didn't want to. I said, like, what do you want to do? He said, well, no, I can't do nothing about it. So then I went down and said, oh, hey, piss off. I said, you're not going to talk, back off. He don't talk, you understand? And they're all like looking back, taking photos of me then. I said, do what you like. I said, leave him alone. And Francis had come down and said, I said, go away. He said, thank you, Ted, and away. And they sort of looked at me and taking the back of my head and all this, making out, you know. Because you're not supposed to swear at him. I said, well, I told you, leave him alone. You know, he spoke to you once, and that's the end of it. But that was definitely down to George's drive potty there, I know that. Yeah. And I told him that, and he said, I think you're right, Ted, in that. But I said, well, that's snake you think they're doing it. But he wasn't, I never got on it. A very timid man, you know, you frighten him easy. You give it all the thing, but no, you go boo. Ooh, and, but as I say, he's, put a stroke like that on a man who's looking like you know, putting stuff down there.
Well, you set fire to the place once.
What, here?
Yeah. And that's when Bacon had to move out to the Royal College, because he burnt loads of paintings.
I know he destroyed quite a few.
He was, but you know, Bacon sometimes liked his boyfriends to destroy pictures. He saw it as an act of love. But that's our boy. You were telling us about Paris, and you went down to Monte Carlo as well. Yeah. Was that from Paris?
Yeah, while we was there, Francis said to me, after we saw Pompidou and the other stuff, Francis said to me, we're all going to go home. He said, Lucian, that's going. He said, like, have you ever been to Monte Carlo, Ted? I said, no. I said, I wouldn't even know where it is, mate. He said, how would you like to go there? I said, well, if you like, yeah. So he said, the following day, he said, well, jump Air France down to the thing and everything else. He'd take out to Lucian. I think Lucian had the hump because I think Lucian wanted to go to Ponce, but he was with that lady Caroline. But anyway, that was it. So I went down there with Francis. We landed at, is it Nice? Where's the other one?
Nice usually, yeah.
The one it goes out to sea and you come back.
But
Cannes, sorry.
Yeah, it could have been.
Yeah, when the plane's coming in, it goes past the end like that, and then there's like an island coming out land, and the plane comes in there, and that's,
I think that's
Nice or Cannes, and then we got a cab into Monte Carlo from there. But we did come back quite a few times to eat there, because he said they do lovely fish here, Ted. He said they catch it out of the water there, cook it straight away, do it, cook it for you in the restaurant. And I remember I said, I'll try that, and I got a bone stuck in my throat, and I thought, oh. And they couldn't get it in. I put my finger down, I felt it there. I said, no, like, hold on, we get it. I said, got it, like an air bone it was. Don't. And, but that was Monte Carlo. He got me, he gave me a couple of £100, and I was only allowed £50 out of the country. That's all you're allowed to take out then.
In those days, yeah.
So he said, no, I was, we went to we're going to the casino. That was it. I think he gave me £200, and he gave me this card like that, and I've still got the card indoors. And it's to go into Monte Carlo casino, but to go, it's three places there, 3 different things. This is this one, so you can go to the lot. Now, I didn't know it at the time, but at the time, the first lot is for like the normal punters. The second lot are more out of class, but the third, the end, is for all the sheiks and the very rich people, where they played Chemin de Fer, where Francis went in there. I went in at number 2, which was dice. But 3 times I was in there, walking about, not suited, and I got pulled all the time. So in French, I was, yeah. He went, oh, English? Yeah. You got your card? When I showed him the card, he went, oh, sorry, sir, bum, bum. And at the airport, when I'm going out, at the airport at Heathrow, I got a little tubby geezer come up, and I didn't think he was security. He said, yeah, pulled me aside out of the lot, and he said, where are you going? I said, what's he got to do? I said, who are you? What's he got to do with you where I'm going? I'm getting on the plane. He's like, no, it's with security. Like, we've got to ask you. I said, I'm going to Paris for a holiday. I said, yeah. How much are you taking out? I said, £50, that's all I'm allowed. And I went, that's it, yeah. Okay, then, thank you. And I said to Francis, why do they keep picking on me? He said, well, you've got tattoos on your hand, you walk like that. And when you open your gold weight, You sound like I said, well, I am a working class geezer, aren't I? The people going out there not talk like not your language, but to me it used to tickle me. But then someone told me about France's murals. Who was it? They said we was asking someone what Francis ever see in Ted, Ginger Ted, and all that. And they said, we know what it is. And what it was, and they came up to me and said, he was fascinated by it. You fascinated him. He said, that's what it was. He said, because he's not the best looking geezer in the world. And I was big then, mind you. They said, but he's something about him, the way, you know. But then again, the river, my dad and that was lineman on the river, and he bought Limehouse. Now I knew Limehouse, and I knew the woman. My dad knew the woman because we was having dinner, and Francis told him, I bought so-and-so in Limehouse. He said, what I'll do, so you like the river, all your family are on it, I'm going to leave that to you, Limehouse. I said, it took me 40 years to get out of Limehouse. I said, it was all bombed. And that's what he told me as well. He said to me, if you ever get any real money, he said, he said, like, a little word to you, he said, put it in good antiques, or, he said, Limehouse. And I said, Limehouse? What are you talking about? I said, it's all debris there. I used to play there for own brick. It's all bombed. He said, that's what I mean. He said, now you can buy that land the right way. And that, but trust me, that is going to be the new city of London. I said, what, Limehouse? Narrow Street? Trust me. And he told me, didn't he? And when I went to Shaney Walk, Duke of Devonshire's place, who was coming up the stairs there, Francis said, who do you think that is? Harold Macmillan. So, of course, he knows about what's going to be built there because he knows all these people. But me, like being nothing, but he said, buy that land.
If only we'd invested. Now, I got a note here because you told me about Cheney Walk and I was scribbling notes. I didn't really get a grip of your story while you were at Cheney Walk. You told me you saw Macmillan there and John Betjeman, I think.
Yeah, what it was we went with Lucy and done a painting of the Duke of Devonshire's mum. And he had an easel in Shaney Walk, and the painting was on the easel. And we went there in a cab, Francis, Lucy and myself went there, and there was all big limousines parked outside all the way along there, and all chauffeurs, big chauffeurs by the cars, so it was all going to Shaney Walk. And so we went up there, the butler opened the door, and as he opened the door, I heard it was a big tall man behind him. He said, hey, so. He walked out the way, said hello to Lucian and Francis and me, and it was the Duke of Devonshire himself. So I didn't know whether to curtsy to him or what. So I thought, oh, all right, mate, you know, how are you? And at the back I could see the easel with his picture, what Lucian's done. And they was all going, oh, look at that. And all thinking, a great big room. Now, they're only like townhouses, you wouldn't believe how big. Inside, when you go in the door, everything, massive. You've got a stairway and everything, wide as anything, going up. And to me, they all look like little townhouses, but no, beautiful, Shaney Walk, Chelsea. So anyway, done that, and he said, oh, Lucian, stop messing about that when we look like that. He's sitting on the chair that takes the old girl up the stairs, pressing it. He's going up and down, and giggling. And I've never seen one of them before. There was this chair to go up. The first chairlift I saw. Anyway, up we went, big flight of stairs like that, and there was a great big room again, packed out, and they had lots of young geezers, fellas and that, in white coats, champagne and everything going all around, all the time, walking around. And I was looking like that, and I didn't really fit in there. I mean, there was some young ones there with beautiful women, and I said, I thought to myself, God, what's she doing with that mug? And he got his collar up here, talking. Of course, I thought, I didn't realise he probably owes half of England, the geezers in there. So then Francis said to me, see the old boy coming up the stairs, who is it? And he had two walking sticks, and when I looked, he lifted his head, it was Harold Macmillan. I think, oh, blimey. So he said to me, mooch around, Ted, he said you might find it interesting. So this little tubby fellow was there. I went into one of the little rooms on the side, and he had all little pictures, all originals, all up, all round. I was sort of looking at them, and I heard this fella say, excuse me, he said, oh, you a painter? So I said, no, mate, I looked around. And he said, oh, I said, no, I've got a gambling club in Soho. He went, whoa, how exciting, he said, Soho, eh? I said, yeah, the nice gambling little spieler. Like that, and I carried on thinking, talking to him, but I knew him from somewhere, and I thought to myself, I've seen him somewhere. But after a little while, I said to Francis, I'm going to get a cab back to the Soho. I said, because I know it's nice here, Francis, but I'm happy. And he was saying to me, like, the Crays, Ted, would give anything to be where you are. They've been trying to get in with this crowd for years. He said, I'm giving it to you. I said, but I'm not the Crays, I don't know what to do. I'm a working man, what do I do? I mean, you're talking like villains there. I said, no, it's not me. So anyway, I got a cab back to a thing, and then when I saw him the next day, he said, how did you think? I said, it was a nice day out, innit? He said, I saw you was talking to John, like. So I said, John? I said, he said, when you was watching the paintings. I said, oh yeah, I see him on the telly. I said, I don't know his name. He's like Sir John Benjamin. He said he's the poet laureate. I said, cool, I thought I recognised his boat. Lovely man he was and all. I mean, I went to Chelsea, but the people I was meeting, there's so many different ones. Lawrence Harvey, the actor, he said, I was in Wheelers, and we were going out, as we were going out like that, the table like that, he's jumped out like that. I said, Francis. And he looked around, he goes, oh, Larry, how are you? And he shook hands, he introduced me, and he was sitting with two beautiful women either side of him, Lawrence Harvey, the actor. So, anyway, said that. We went out, went to the murals ourselves, and I said to him, that actor, that Lawrence Harvey, I said, do you see them birds? He was them women. He said, yeah. I said, beautiful. I said, I know he's a film star. I said, but two of them he's got like that. And Francis said to me, Ted, he said, a man with a 10-inch cock can go with who he likes, do what he likes. That's the actual words he said to me. I said, what? Anyway, that was it. So. Yeah.
You told me some interesting things on the art side. That you said that Bacon said to you about being here. He liked to work in chaos.
Yeah, he loves chaos. He can only work in chaos because I said, like, it's a shit. He worked in France. Get a cleaner. He said, I've got a cleaner in. So she used to scrub the floorboards in that room. That was it. But he wouldn't let no one in the other room. Then I said to him about that thing. I said, I've got a pal of mine who's a thing. I can go down the Old Fort Road, Hackney Road. I said, I'll get him to deliver it and put it up. He said, what? I said, that door. And he had this door, with all the paint on it, and I was thinking, he smashed it in that. So I said, there. I said, I'll get rid of that. So I said, I'll get you one in from Hackney Road, pal of mine, and put it up here. I didn't even know what it was, but I looked at it and I thought, well, fucking state of it. That is in the, I think that's in Dublin, the museum, isn't it?
Oh yeah, there's a whole studio is there now.
About £100,000 it made, like, yeah, it was like an old toilet door, like with just paint. And then when you opened the door, you had all pots of paint that with brushes stuck in, all over the floor, pictures all over, slung all over the place. But he said he liked the paint in chaos. But I did ask him about the paintings. I said that in Wheelers, I think it was, yeah. I said, like, some of them paintings, I said, you can't understand them. And that. He said, no, you've got to be able to understand them. He said, to appreciate them, otherwise that's it. So I said, but I saw one, like, they had a splodge line, and it was a dog. I said, well, he said, well, and he asked Peter, the thing like that, he gave him a pencil and a pen, and he got a napkin and a bit of old paper, and he went like that. He said, like that? It's gospel truth. I said, well, yeah. I said, that's more or less a dog. And he went, it's a load of old shit, Ted, and threw it away. And I thought to myself, oh, it was my brother. I said, you should have kept that. I said, what? Of course it is, this, whatever he does, you know. But he wasn't as famous known then as the thing about. I said, no, I don't want that stuff. But then I did ask him about his thing. I said, how do you see your painting? I said, I'm trying to understand what you're doing. He said, well, when they invented the photography, these pictures, he said all the painting went out the window then. He said, because you can't paint as good as a camera can pick it. He said, so then really you've got to start, as progress goes on, you think of other things. He said, so what we do, he said, you know Picasso, I said, yeah. He said, well, he does a lot of it. He said, so you put it, what you do in this thing, he said, and with me, personally, he said, well, I can only paint people I know. I can't paint anyone I don't know. He said, and the idea of it is I paint the inside of the person. Inside, he's looking inside. He said, that is easy to paint, like the face or something. So I'm learning about them, and I'll paint them as I see them, but the inside, which I don't know whether it made sense to me. I said, oh yeah, But because I used to look at the one he'd done on me, and I thought, "Oh, I fucking look like that, really." On one of my boots, I got big boots, and I thought, I don't remember wearing them boots, and that. But no, he was a lovely man, though, really. And then he done my mum's eyes, didn't he? He was down Bianchi's, and then my mum came, and Harry, I took my mum and dad out, sitting in there. He came into Bianchi's restaurant, and he said, "Hello, Ted." I said, "France, how are you?" This is mum. "Hello, mum. Hello there." "Right, this is with me." He's gone. I said, "Oh, we've already." He said, "No. Have what you like." So mum's got the thing menu, and she's going like, and he said that. "What's the matter, Mum?" He said, you can't see that menu." She went, no, Francis, I've got cataracts or something. He said, "Oh, yeah." He said, "Well, something can be done about that, can't they?" So she said, "No, I've been to the thing, and they're going to give me a white stick because they've said, no, they deteriorated too much. You can't do nothing with them." He said, "Oh, I'm sure they can," and left it. Anyway, I laughed and joked and left it at that. And then in the week, she phoned me up to say, "I've got to go down to... what's it called, Harley Street, to see a Mr. Patron Europa." So I said, "Well, I don't know anything about it, Mum." I said, "What are you talking about?" She said, "Oh, it's something to do with my eyes or something." So I said, "We'll go down there." I said, "Oh, down there, I think." She went, I think, she said, "They mentioned Francis, your friend." I said, "Oh," I said, "He must have, he's down to him then." Anyway, that was it. So she went there to see him. She said, "This man come there with he had a dressing gown on, tall man, and that. It was Patron Europa, introduced himself. He said, "Mr. Bacon, I'm going to do your eyes for you." He said, "And I do a lot of work in the Westminster Hospital, and that's where you're going to have it, and that's where you're going to be. But everything's done for you, so don't worry in that." So I said to Francis, I said, he said, "Well, Muriel said that he's doing a lovely man." I said, "He is doing that." I said, "Thank you, Francis." He said, "But don't worry about anything, I'm paying for the lot." So when she had the thing done, I went up there to see her, and I went up in a lift up there, right at the top, and the room she was in was massive, bigger than this. Like, we were only one bed in there, television, telephone, and all that, and there was a matron sitting there with her all the time. And I went to the petrol station and bought a bunch of flowers. I thought I'd take them up. I went up with these flowers and walked in there, and when I looked in the room, they're all over the place. It's all orchids and everything, beautiful. So I thought, "Oh, that's nice, isn't it?" She went, "Your friend Francis comes to see me every day, and he puts new ones in all the time, every other day." And all that. So I got these here, and I thought, so I said, "Over there, Mum." And she looked away, I dropped them on the floor, kicked them under the bed. I thought, "Can't give her that." And that was it. But apparently the matron said to me mum, "Are you know Mr. Bacon well?" or something. She went, "No, not really." She said, "He's very friendly with my Teddy, my son." And there was another time he said to me, "Can you pick us up to Taste of Heathrow so I can see my sister?" So I said, "Yeah." So I went round to Reece Museum, pulled up, and he had where's the garage? Must be here. He had the window up and leaning out like that. So his front door was around there, looking down. So when we pulled up, he went, "Hey, I'll take us." "Well, won't be a minute." We come down, Daddy's come, got his big keys out, locking his door, and he's got about that big, like that, a frame with newspaper round it, a whole thing, wrote like cheap string, tied up in knots all round it like that, put it under his arm. I said, "What's that?" He said, "It's a picture I've done for my sister. I'm taking that to Rhodesia." But when he had it, I mean, I didn't understand the price of this thing. He's leaving it in the gutter, picking it up, slinging it over there. And it's like a newspaper, like the news of the world, tied up with cheap string. That's how he was like that, He never...
It was quite classy, really. One of the good things about it,
yeah.
The way he looked after your mum, and you know that story because you're her son. But no one knows the stories. They're very private. I didn't know till you just told us that he was helping that hospital in general. Yeah. I know he'd be big on blindness because I do know he's really, obviously, if he goes blind, he's buggered. He can't be a painter anymore.
He always used to say that, yeah.
So you can see why he would, but it was always, he gave money for a painting at the National Gallery, and on grounds it must be totally secret. No one must know.
Yeah,
you know, and he didn't want any. That's smart, I think. He gets points for that.
There was one where he told someone to get rid of it, and they didn't get rid of it. They went down the thing and sold it to a gallery, and he's come along and saw it saw it in the window. Apparently, so I've been told, and he went in and bought the painting, took it out, threw it in the gutter, and destroyed it. So, you know, but he had someone to get rid of. If he didn't want it, he didn't like it. He said, "Mate, a lot of them never done it." You know, they sold it behind his back. But no, he was always on about your eyes as well. As he said to me, the only thing I fear, Ted, he said, is if I lose my sight. He said, and if it was, he said, I'd always like that. Cut his throat, is what he was saying. But he was a very good chef, a very good cook. And I used to say to him about it, and he said, well, if I wasn't a painter, he said, I would have been a chef. And then he was a connoisseur on wine. Nothing he didn't know about wine. Oh. But he loved all that sort of thing, you know, clever man. But everyone who met him, around Soho especially, where I knew him, all the people, you know, all waved out to him. They all knew how nice he was, you know, and he was fooling about sometimes, walking along Old Compton Street, bang up the window here, bang up there, and carry on. But, I mean, at times I've picked him up and got a cab from him. Say, oh, thank you, Ted. But then we go up to Muriel's, that was it. The Muriel's, you got to spend money, a bit of money in all the time. So you go, hello, Francis, we got some new champagne in straight away. I thought, yeah. So here's a bottle, here's another bottle, here's another bottle. Then he'd open them, and then everyone in the club, he'd say, come here. And he, like that. And then French Henry, a friend of mine, was there, and he put his glass like that. And Francis just poured it like that. It's full up and it's going all over his hand, all over the floor. And Francis said, no, Francis. But Francis knew exactly what he's doing. Then when I saw him that time with the whiskey, you know, now and again he'd go on spirits. And we was in the same place in Muriel, having a drink. And I think beer, I wanted beer mainly. And but I was keeping my eye like that, and I saw him, and he's like, cheerio, and he threw it on the floor like the whiskey, and come up with an empty glass. And the idea was, I'm sure of it, I could read him like a book, that he liked to get people pissed, he liked to see you, how you go, but he wanted to see you through his eyes, see how you are. If he's drunk, he can't register it. And I think a lot of that is, he liked to see, that's why when he wanted me to drop me down at Aldgate, and right, chap, we're down a pub. I said, you don't want to go in there? I'm not coming in there. He said, no, I don't want you to come in there. But apparently he'd go in there and sit and like look at whoever it was, just to see the characters of people. It was strange, you know.
Well, that's really interesting. The observer, Bacon. It's not emphasised enough.
That's how he thinks.
And hearing it from the horse's mouth, I've turned you into a horse now. But I've been thinking, sitting here, because we've met before, obviously, and we're in Rees Mews. I don't want to put words in your mouth, obviously, but it's like over 50 years since you were here, and it was the artist's studio. Yeah. I don't know whether you could just not make it up, but just say just a few words. I think it might be good in a little film if you said what it was like to come in here in 1969 as opposed to now. Is that like a stupid question or request?
I mean, it was completely and utterly different. I mean, the front door was just like a street like that. Bang, there was a door there. The garage was never opened, the garage. I think he rented it out, I don't know what he'd done with it. That was always shut. Never been in the garage at all. The door was like that, and there was a couple, but all down the thing, when I looked down there was beautiful pots of flowers and all that. You could see like there's a lot of money people live there, whereas his up there, and even next door, it was because he introduced me to him, was the one who wrote Oliver, Lionel Bart. So, and I talked to Lionel Bart, and he loved me, Lionel. You're one of our own, and all that. I said, I saw you down at Tubby Heights having a bowl of Jelly Hills. He went, yes. And Francis, I never eat those sort of things. But anyway, so you'd come here, the door was like, the garage was there, painted black, I think, plain. His door, I'm sure it was a black door, just painted there. He'd get the big key out and jump and open it. And then but all the others was nice, but that was there. And when he opened it, right by the door, it was like a barge rope, thick rope like that. Up, up, up. And I watched him, I said, where we going? He said, up, just like that. And after you've had a few beers, and I thought, well, blimey, and you there, right over steep, and we got to the top like that, and then facing you was the kitchen, with an old butler sink in there, like that. Empty bottles of wine on there, some of it drunk, cups and saucers there, not even washed up, just stuck down there. I'm sure, I can't remember, I'm sure there was a bath on the right-hand side, although whoever got in there, I wouldn't get in there, whatever it was a bath on the right-hand side. But before you got to that, on the right-hand side was the door to his studio. You open that up, and then there was pots and pans and everything all over the place. And then I know for a fact, he told me, he went, that there, he said, it wasn't there when I came here, Ted. I had that put in. There was a north light. So he wanted the light in so he could paint. So he was the one who put that in the roof himself. That was there like that. And there was, I think there was another place. Oh, it was a toilet. I don't know where that was. I don't know if he went upstairs to it or something. But then into the lounge, you had the window there, and I always noticed the big mirror that had a smash on it, like that. And he said that was with Peter, his boyfriend or something, an Air Force pilot. And they had a row and slung a thing at him. And then on the left, I saw his thing. I said, what's that there? He said, it's a death mask. He said, Ted, they come in and put all this stuff around me. He said, I couldn't breathe. They put something up my nose to breathe. He said, I hated it. And that's what it's come out as. Like, it was his head, the death mask there. Then he had, I saw it, and then he's gone. He had a television delivered, coloured television, had just come out. And this was a big one like that, coloured television. And he hated television, he wouldn't do it. So he said, no, he said, Valerie Besson sent it down from the Marlborough Art Gallery for me. He said, I've never looked at it in it. The next time I saw him about the thing, he said, I said, where's that? Tell you, oh, he said, I'd give it to my cleaner. He'd give it to the old girl, and he'd take him round to her house. So he wouldn't have none of that. That was there, and then right down the end, there was a big round bed. I think it was, yeah, it was. Round bed there, and there was a big long settee on the other side, but it was all white floorboards with a rug. I never see the zebra skin, which he told about in the thing. I never see that. If I did, I didn't know what it was. But that was it, bits and pieces. But God, it was like a tip, really. But then again, he was a very, very clean man, so you thought, well, he can't be Francis, and that, but he'd open a bottle of wine, he'd have a glass, and then leave it there, put the thing in, and you might have 3 or 4 bottles in there after the cups and saucers. When he'd get around to it, he'd clean them. And then one day, that was it, I was there, and he said, I can't remember what time it was early. That was it, he said, I said, I'm going to go out to think to eat. He said, I'll cook you something, what would you like? I said, anything, bacon and eggs. He said, do you like scrambled eggs? I said, yeah. So anyway, he was messing about, talking, in the pot doing that. And it came out, it was beautiful, lovely, and I'll do it myself, but sort of running as it should be. Scrambled eggs, so on and so forth. So he had them to perfect thing like that. Well, nowadays you do it in the microwave, but he was doing it with his pot, and he said, I like doing this, he says, boom, boom. So I tasted it, I said, it's lovely, they're very nice. And yeah. But this has opened my eye. I mean, I would never, in a million years, I wouldn't have known where this was. Even when we pulled up outside, I thought, no, that ain't right. Looking down, I said, God, blimey. He said, that used to be where they put all the horses from the thing. It was all cobbled stones, and these are all down here. Were also, they put them in the whatever. That's what he originally started as. But no, I knew full well. And then when he moved next door, Lionel Bart, who wrote Oliver, and he said about, after Oliver, he wrote one called Twang, and it skinted him. And he said to Francis about it, he said, I'm not going to sell this because Francis wanted to buy next door. He said, no, because it's been lucky for me. He said, I wrote Oliver here. He said, and I've sold my mansion in the country. He said, but here I'm going to thingy. That's when I said to him about, I know you, mush, and that was good. He said, you're talking like my language, where you come out of? He said, oh, get Whitechapel? I said, yeah. I said, I saw you eating a bowl of veal. He went, go, Tabby, he's gone in there. I said, yeah, Tabby. But he changed from talking like straight to a cockney. Lovely man. I was like, a little fella. Yeah, nice.
Was he? Yeah. Imagine he looks taller in pictures.
Yeah, he's tiny geezer.
Did you ever meet Frank Norman?
Yeah, Frank Norman, of course. Frank Norman had a scar, didn't he?
I think he did, yeah.
Yeah, he was up Muriel's to see Frank Norman. She used to introduce me. I don't know what he was. Was he a villain or
he was a villain, but he became a writer. Yeah, and had some hits.
That's it. But I was having a meal. A cup of coffee I was having in Bianchi's, little restaurant in Frith Street, Italian. Because Albert Dimes, you ever heard of Albert Dimes? Big Albert, no, he was with Frankie Fraser years ago. Albert Dimes, they was running London with when Jack Spot was there, and they was the ones who'd done Jack Spot. When I was in Bianchi's having a coffee with Albert and everything, Francis come in, waved out at me. I said, I'll be over in a minute, Francis. When I left, Francis said to me, Ted, that big man who you was talking to, he said, does he go by the name of Albert Dimes? So I said, yeah. So I thought, well, how would you know who that is? But he was Albert, very famous villain, cut people, shot people. And he was the one Italian. He ran all the protection money, all the cash around Soho. It was him, Albert. So I wanted a haircut. He said, Ted, no, go down to Soho Square. I said, yeah. On the left there, Luigi's, first shot along, with barbers. I said, yeah. Go in there and tell him Albert sent you. So I said, I can't do that, Albert. Said, go down there, just say Albert sent you and have what you want done. So I went down there, little barber there. Hello, sir. Sat there. Albert sent me, oh, Albert, yes. Got it singed, everything, washed it, all the lot. I went to pay him. No. I said, no, Albert sent you. No. Because Albert, I didn't realise, he's like the godfather. So they send you down, you mustn't take money. So I wanted to just give him a tip. No, honestly, no. It's a pleasure, you come in. And that's how they was in them days. Yeah, they was villains. I met Francis' sister husband, big man, which went to Wheelers to eat.
He was a big farming man, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Ben Knott. Yeah, apparently Bacon used to really get on with him.
Yeah, he was a nice man.
Yeah, because he was a good
He
bloke.
liked me because the way I was talking in there, because all the others, there was a lot of arty people, and I said, hold on a minute, and he liked all that. He said, tell him.
Yeah.
But he was a nice man. Big man though, wasn't he? Seemed to be a big fella.
Yeah, I didn't know him, of course, but I was interested because Bacon really did like him, and from what the myths about Bacon, you might think he wouldn't like a big farming man from South Africa, but he's a good bloke, so he liked him.
I mean, he's a good judge of character, I think, most of the time.
Yeah, I think that's as you say.
Most of the time. The only one was who I had to give a slap to was the other one. What's his name?
Dyer.
He in Wheelers, he come in. He said, he came in like that when I was sitting there with John Deakin and France, three of us, near the window. And he was already in there, and he come out the bar and he come walking down like another fellow with him. And I didn't know who it was first of all. Look, Francis, and I went, oh, John, yeah. He said, what is it? And he was saying he wanted his money. So, and I remember on our meeting, and Francis said to him, but I'll give you £3,000. He said 2 weeks ago, which is a lot of money in 1969. So he said, yeah, I know that. He said, what, have you spent it all then? So he went there and all the rest of it. So Francis said, no, I'm sorry, but tell him to go. And he was on and on. So all of a sudden, I looked up at him, I said, look, mate, I said, like, the man's told you, we're eating that dinner. Do us a favour, do a guy down and go away. And he come right round to me like that, and he said to me, you must be, what is he? Oh, what are you, flavour of the month? He said to me, like, so, what's all that mean? I said, what you say? I said, go away. And he went to me, outside. I said, outside. Before he could finish, I was up, jumped by the door, and then he's come out. So I said, come in. What do you want to do? As he's come out the door, and they got outside in Wheelers, they had a cage over the retractor of the air outside, bolted to the wall. So when he seen me like that, he's just gone, grabbed it, swung it, and it didn't come off. So I went, crack, that's all done to him, and he went, donk. And then Francis looked at him and said, John, I told you, you're not to me. And with that, I said, well, we ain't going to hang about. I said, go and piss off, mate, we've had enough of you. And then Francis said, can we go round to Bianchi's? Went round to Frith Street, and finished our meal there. And that's the first time I ever met him. And he put that in the book, Dan Farsom, when he wrote his book, he called me Blonde Billy, because Ian Uriels, he said, it's Ginger Ted name, but he's not in the West End anymore. I don't want to give his new name in case he's got a new life. So we call him Blonde Billy. And I didn't work at Charlie Chester's, my brother did, but he mentions that in there. And that is when he said that Dyer, he's had a word, and Dyer said that it was me who worked at Charlie Chester's, attacked him, and all the rest of it, giving all the fanny. And then a month or so later, I see him, he come out of France, he's walking around, and he see me, he went, oh, Ted, no, I don't want no trouble, whatever, please, should I shut it? I said, leave the man alone. I said, don't think it. I said, I'm only here to look after him. That's all I do. What you do makes it your business. I said, but don't start threatening him or thinking like that, because I'm coming in. Someone's asked me to look after him, and I'm looking after him. That's the end of it. Francis knew it, I think, what I was there for, because he's a couple of things he mentioned to me, and I said, nah. I said, I'm not like that, Francis. He said, I know that, Ted. And then when we was down the meat market, because I took him down there, we was out on a drink. So I said, 5 o'clock in the morning, I said, well, the meat market's home now, Smithfield. I used to work there. Look, can we get a bit? I said, yeah. Went down, the old Red Corral, went in there, see big O'Shea there. And Francis was looking around, you got an accordion player playing in the corner. 5 o'clock in the morning, it's like a party, all singing. And as they're coming in, the law is this, the market's there, you do your cutting, bumping them, and you wear a white schmock. When the blood goes on there, it's only bits of it, you've got to take that off if you walk outside the market. That's the law. And they've got coppers on everywhere, but most people, they don't take no notice. So when I took him in the old Red Cow, sitting there, in they've come a lot of them, and I see Francis' eyes pop when he see the blood on the smokes, he thought, wow, and he's like, oh, and he didn't really want to go. I said, well, we're going to go there. And he said to me later on, well, we'll have to come here again, Ted. He said, it was very interesting down there, But I think what it was the sight of that's what I think anyway. Because normally you take your schmuck off, put a white one on nice and clean, and you're going to mix with people outside. And that was the rule in the market. You're not supposed to go in, not with blood all over you. But a lot of them took the notice after a little while, You get used to it.
You said before that you went to Harrods to get some food.
Yeah.
Did he go into the meat hall then, do you remember? Because he's meant to have really liked the meat hall.
Well, that's where straight away it goes. Because his idea, he used to say to me, and he'd say, oh, look at this, Ted. He said, now, do you find that fascinating? I said, well, a bit of meat. I said, I used to work with it. He said, yeah, but all the cuts, the different cuts you've got there, like you've got the heart there and the kidneys there, the leg cut on steaks, and it fascinated him. But he'd do that if you're walking down the road, he'd come to a butcher's shop, he'd stop, and you'd go back, and he'd just be like looking. It was something I said to him about art, and I said, well, what's the best art there is ever? He said, there's only one. I said, well, what is that? He said, Egyptian. And I remember when we was in south of France, and it was his birthday, I bought him some shoes in Paris on the Grand Palais. He said, oh, no, it's very expensive here, Ted. I said, well, get your shoes. He took a good pair of shoes up, put the brand new ones on. I thought, oh, that's nice. Picked the ones he took off, said to the woman, throw those away from me. I thought to myself, well, they were like new, but he just went and put them. Then I went to a thing and got him a book on Egypt. And he loved a big, thick book. Shows you all the things, because I remembered what he liked, But, and he said, it's the best, you can't do any better than that, he reckons, So through history, the Egyptian heart, to him, was, you know, good.
Well, when we get this book, when it arrives, we hope this week, that Amanda, who's just gone, she's done an article about an Egyptian thing in it. You'll be interested to see that in view of what you just said.
But he was that, and the other thing he was fascinated was the bullfights. That in some way, he wanted to go to Spain all the time, and it's just to see these fights out, the bullfights. I think he'd done a couple of pictures of bullfights, I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, fascinating. He was chopping and changing to me a lot of the time, but I mean, I used to take him when he wanted to go down to Aldgate, and I said, no, I said, you don't want to go down there. He said, well, get a cab there, and I just want to, and he wanted me to drop me. I dropped him at Mile End, and he was going to go in the pub. So I said, like, it's 10:30, 11, he can sling out in a minute, Frank. You don't want to be down here. He said, no, I know all that. I'll see you tomorrow. Off you go. So I wasn't happy about it, so I got in the cab, went down to Bow, said to the driver, spin round, go back. And when I went back looking for him, I lost him. So he must have gone in the pub. But yeah, I think he went in the pubs and used to look at people, just stare at them, you know, watch things. That's my interpretation. I know, you know, I should notice when he first met me, he was staring all the time, and I looked and he'd look away, but then he was looking back at what you're doing. But that was after I'd done that, slapped them people who was going to mug him. No, he was a lovely man, really.